doing a little painting, and you are invited along for it. Of course, I've got my girl here. That's right, my sweet Southern Belle, Rogue. Have to paint her up. She always was one of my favorite X-Men from the old cartoons, which is the only thing I know about any of this because, as I keep saying, I've never. Now, I don't know if this guy counts as a superhero or not, but I had to get him. And of course, it's Blade. You know, Wesley Snipes. Blade, the vampire killer, the Daywalker. I mean, I had to get him. I mean, that was just like a guaranteed must because, not going to lie, I'm a huge fan of Blade. I mean, a huge fan. You know, Blade is like one of my favorite. Hey, Hungar, how are you doing, my buddy? Blade is definitely one of my favorite Marvel movies. I think my favorite is probably Guardians of the Galaxy, but Blade 1 through 3 is definitely up there. And the last guy I got was apparently another Lobo I double ordered. Except this Lobo is 32 mil. The other one was 40. So this guy is actually closer to the scale he should be instead of being gigantic. At the doctor's office? What you doing at the doctor's office, folks? You ain't supposed to be at the doctor's office. You're supposed to be at home bullshitting around with me on Dune. Because that's what I've been doing all morning. I keep finding new building parts. So I keep trying to figure out new ways to put them together to make them, extra badass. Hell yeah. I mean, Blade would be a cool character to play, I guess. I mean, superpowers, he's basically immune to normal weapons, right? I have Wolverine. I have a Wolverine, I think. Yeah. Yeah, but like when I see what you're saying though. When I get the Wolverine, make sure it's like instead of 32 mil, it's like 28 or 25 so that he looks like a freaking dwarf next to everyone else. I'll tell you what, I'll show you a miniature in a second if you're watching. I don't know if you're watching or you're just chatting, whatever you're doing. Let me show you this guy. This guy definitely needs painted ASAP, right? And this is the right scale. Look at that beast. That is an absolute beast right there. He's got his shirt on, his helmet on. I had to put him in my UV box because this guy was printed hollow. And I guess he wasn't as drained out and everything as he should have been. So I had to drain him out with a little bit of ISO, as they say, or IPO, and or IPA. Sorry, I'm screwing everything up over here. And then put him in my own box, UV box, and make sure he is completely cured. Because, I need to look on Etsy for is like they have to exist because I've already ordered the monarch and his girlfriend from damn, what's that show with the boys? Mm, my memory is acting up today. Venture Brothers, right? I didn't see any miniatures for the Venture Brothers or Samson, but I got miniatures for the monarch and his girlfriend, Dr. Girlfriend. And Dr. Girlfriend's dressed up in the sexy Dr. Girlfriend look, so she's basically wearing nothing really. It's like stripper clothes, and she's got the crown on, and then the monarch's, just being the monarch. And I thought, it'd be funny if we're playing like, who knows, maybe when Bear gets done writing Heroic, right? I haven't got Nightcrawler yet. I'm looking. But when Bear finishes writing Heroic, maybe I'll pick that. Well, I've already kickstarted it. I mean, the Monarch has no superpowers. He's a gadget guy. Oh, speaking of the Bear. So, I mean, the Monarch would be easy to build in any, I would think, superhero game, hopefully Heroic, since he's really just a gadget guy with apparently a lot of money. Because, I mean, the floating nest that he cruises around in, that had to cost like a lot of money. You know what I mean? And all the henchmen with all of their, poison dart guns and shit, that couldn't have been cheap. And obviously he's got something going on because, he's got Dr. Girlfriend, who, in spite of the incredibly deep voice, is smoking.
What are you talking about, Dr. Girlfriend? She's voiced by a guy, right? It's a guy that does the voice for her, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Of course. But she's still
I
smoking
love it. It's hilarious.
I
love the fact that all the Rule 32 of art of her makes her trans. They don't even fuck around.
Yeah, but we know she's not trans.
No, I know, but I just love the fact that, like, people are like, nah, she got a dick. Nah. Like, they're just, it's too
sounds
funny
like
to be
she
mad.
should. Like, have a big one.
Yeah.
I mean,
either that or she gargles with whiskey, one or the other. Just for your benediction, Heroic's done writing. We're in layout and art now, so I can always send you the PDF of the final write if you want to use it.
I think that you may have, and yes, and please, my good sir, I would be, because I have been thinking about like all of these different superhero miniatures I have, right?
Mm-hmm.
How difficult. I mean, I know you've told me it would be no problem. And so I'm thinking about, okay, I've got Lobo. Can we make Lobo in Heroic, the last Zarnian?
No, of course you can.
Yeah, really, because what's his superpower other than he can't die?
He's got super strength. He's got immortality, regeneration, and some gadgets. He's easy to make.
Yeah, he carries a big bunch of machine guns.
Yeah, he's got a big chain. He's got guns. He's got his space motorcycle. The problem is he's very powerful. He's a world-class hero, right? So you'd have to be playing at a campaign level of that height. Otherwise,
So
he's gonna really dominate.
Would be better suited for like Watchmen type level characters.
Heroic can literally do everything from street level to
not
throwing planets at each other. No, but Heroic can do everything because it's
I know, but I'm saying if you're going to play a campaign, you don't count. You don't let somebody play a Dr. Manhattan.
You can. You just have to make sure that as a storyteller, you put in, or a judge as it's called in the game, you just have to make sure that you put in the proper checkpoints and counterbalances to them. Yeah, right? Everybody has a weakness. That's what Watchmen teaches us. Everybody has a weakness. So for all of his power in heroic terms, he has a very weak psyche. He has a vulnerability in his psyche, which is he feels unhuman, and people can use that as an avenue to go after him. He also has a very low dynamic. He's not very charismatic. He's not very charming. He's not good at convincing people of things, right? So there's ways to do it. You just don't have to. One of the biggest things I fucking hate about superhero role-playing gamers is they're constant whining about characters they can't do damage to. It's like, y'all never read fucking comic books, right? Y'all don't remember the Juggernaut. Y'all don't remember when the X-Men had to fight, Unus the Untouchable. Or every time the Avengers have had to take on fucking Ultron 13 or later that's made of indestructible adamantium. Like, people just don't gamers annoy the shit out of me when it comes to superhero games because they want them to be fucking video games. They don't want them to be role-playing games, and they sure as shit don't want them to be what comic books do.
And I am probably the best example of the thing you're saying that you dislike.
Let me run you in a game someday. I'll get you past it.
Because I have never read any of the comics.
Mm-hmm.
Everything I know about these superheroes is from either a movie or the cartoons.
Sure.
And I'm just not good at superheroes.
Well, the good cartoons have that already.
Well, I know so X-Men 90, whatever, the early 90s.
98 or whatever, yeah.
You had the Sentinels, and you also had tons of bad guys like Armageddon and shit like that.
Well, okay, look. How many times do you think Dr. Doom's been, quote-unquote, punched out?
Quite a few.
No, I'm going to go on bounding of 0 times Dr. Doom has been punched out. And you know why?
Why?
Because every time you defeat Dr. Doom, it wasn't Dr. Doom, it was a Doombot. Every time. That is the rule, though, in the old Marvel game, was that if your players manage to defeat Dr. Doom and they even see a body, it's a Doombot. He was fucking with you. So much so that when John Byrne took over the Fantastic Four series in I believe the 90s, he had an episode where Doom returns because Doom apparently had been gone for 15 years doing something research-wise, and all Doombots believe they are Dr. Doom until they're in the presence of Dr. Doom, and then they remember that they're Doombots, right? So he's got all these Doombots lined up, and he's walking down, just passing by them, and then he stops, and there's one that has a scuff on his armor. And he just glances like, what is this? And the Doombot goes, oh, I was working with the Villain Arcade, and he lit a match off my armor. Why didn't you destroy him? I felt we might need him in the future. Doom turns away. The Doombot starts shaking and then falls to pieces. And Doom just says, Doom needs no one, and leaves. That's the point of Dr. Doom, right?
Well,
he's that level of villain.
He's the king of
Latveria.
Yeah. And the one in, because I was talking to Haas about, well, you heard Dr. Girlfriend and the Monarch.
Yep.
The Jaw, or whatever his name is in that series.
Ironjaw.
Yeah, he lives in some communist country, but it borders Florida somehow.
Yeah, of course. It might be Cuba.
It's like, okay, let's see if she'll stay. Because if I can get her to stay there, that is actually really cool. So we've got our Southern Belle.
Oh, nice.
In an action pose.
Nice.
She actually would be a fun character for someone to play. I mean, she's strong, she can fly, she can do all kinds of stuff, but she can never touch anybody.
Yeah, Rogue is she used to be my favorite fucking character until they reinvented her in the 90s and they made her a sex symbol as opposed to a hard-ass bitch. But you go read the early 80s stuff with her, all the way from her first appearance in Avengers 10 all the way up to the end of what they call the Siege Perilous storyline, where the X-Men get reinvented by going through time and space. Up until that point, she's almost like, you kind of wonder if she's dykey. You know what I mean? Like, she's just kind of got that edge to her. She doesn't have big tits. She doesn't got curvy hips. She doesn't got big pouty lips. She looks like a hard-ass bitch who can fuck you up, right? And then they reinvent her and they bring her back, and it's the 90s. So she comes back with big curvy tits and a big ass, wearing a barely see-through costume, cascading beautiful curly hair, big pouty. It's just like, fuck off. You have literally a metric shit ton of these types in the Marvel Universe. You didn't have to take the one that looked like a real person, or more so like a real person.
I like sexy Rogue.
I like sexy too, but you don't need 800 of them. You can have some options. You know what I'm saying? Hey, James.
Well,
How you
there
doing?
are a lot of hot chicks, like the White Queen.
Yeah, exactly. Emma Frost, Jean Grey, Sue
Enchantress,
Storm.
Jean Grey, freaking. I've got the miniature for. She's the last, or she's the princess of wherever, and she hangs out with freaking Robin.
Oh, that's DC.
Teen Titans.
Oh, that's Coriander. That's Starfire.
Starfire. I've got Starfire, and she's all doing her thing. Oh, I didn't like just say Marvel or DC. I just bought whichever one looked cool. I mean, right now I started with the black coat, but it turns out the comedian's a lot more colorful than that.
Oh yeah,
like he has the American star on the one shoulder and the red, white, and blue on the other. But that's who that is. That's the comedian with his famous 45 pistol. And of course, Night Owl, Rorschach, Ozymandias, and Silk Spectre, another, as you would say, sexy lady.
Yeah, but is that the Golden Age Silk Spectre, or is that the Bronze Age Silk Spectre,
This
her
is
daughter?
Silk Spectre 2.
So that's Sally. That's not Sally. That Sally's the original. This is oh shit, I can't remember her real name.
And this is Night Owl number 2.
Yeah, I like Night Owl number 2. I like all the designs in the Watchmen. That's based on the Carlton Comics characters, right? So basically,
I heard that it was like they were like knockoffs of DC characters.
So basically, DC had bought the Carlton universe because the Carlton Comics had long lapsed and wasn't being published anymore. So that's Blue Beetle, Captain Atom, what's her name? Phantom Lady, the Peacemaker. All these characters, right? These were all Carlton Comics characters. And so basically, Alan Moore and the other guy were like, look, we want to do something with them. And they pitched Watchmen. And the DC producers were like, the editors were like, well, we actually have plans for these characters, so we'd like you not to ruin them if that's possible. Right. All right. So they just made knockoffs, right? So Rorschach is the Question. Dr. Manhattan is Captain Atom. Night Owl is Blue Beetle. Silk Spectre is Phantom Lady. Comedian is Peacemaker. I'm trying to think of anybody else I'm missing in that lineup. But that's pretty much what it was.
See, I heard another fan theory, but yours makes more sense.
Well, mine is the actual story as opposed to a theory.
Yeah, the other fan theory was that when Miller pitched the idea, he wanted to use the actual DC characters.
No, so it's Alan Moore, not Frank Miller.
Alan Moore.
And
the DC people were like, "Are you insane? This would stain Superman forever."
No, that's not. That's apocrypha. That's just bullshit.
That's just someone made up.
He always wanted to use the Carlton characters because he thought the Carlton characters were interesting. What he pitched that they turned down was this idea called Twilight of the Gods, which was basically going to be in the future, where there's the House of El, which is the Superman house, the House of the Bat, and all this, and they rule the world, and it's all about them going to war with each other and having essentially a Ragnarok. And that's where they went, are you fucking insane? No. You're not doing that. No.
You're not ending our entire livelihood.
But this was in the days before they created the idea of Elseworlds. So they were always scared of that shit. Once they created Elseworlds, they could do stuff like that, but they had already pissed off Alan Moore to the point where he wasn't writing for them anymore.
Which, I mean, if you think about it, could be a dangerous situation when you consider all of his wizardry and everything.
Well, that's why they kept Grant Morrison as a good writer and in good books with them for a long time, because his Scottish wizardry could offset Alan Moore's Scottish wizardry. It's still my favorite rivalry in comics is always Alan Moore versus Grant Morrison. They're both Scottish, they both profess to be wizards, and they both hate each other.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, though, you would automatically expect just wizards not to like each other anyway.
Well, there you go, right?
Just out of the whole, I know magic and I don't like that you know it too, But I don't know. Maybe wizards aren't that jealous of their power, but those two are, I guess. But yeah, I don't know what happened to Moore. He woke up one day and decided comic books sucked and everyone who read them sucked.
Yeah, he kind of lost his mind.
That read them sucked. I think in one interview he said if he knew adults would like Watchmen, he never would have wrote it.
Yeah, he says a lot of stupid shit and then takes paychecks from other producers, so he can shut up.
Yeah,
He's one of the
it's
most
like,
hypocritical fucking people I've ever seen in my life.
it's like, well, it didn't stop you from letting them make a movie, did it?
Well, he had no say in that because they own the rights.
Yeah, because
Marvel.
Marvel.
The deal was DC, as long as DC kept Watchmen in print, they own the rights. As soon as it's not out of print, the rights revert to Alan Moore and what's his name, the artist, whose name I can't remember right now off the top of my head. But Alan Moore has given up all of his rights to Watchmen and basically said, "Nope, don't want them. Give them to the artist. I don't want anything to do with it." So that's what they do now. He's a big baby, but he's got money. He lives in a castle. What the fuck does he care? You know?
Yeah, I mean, once you're like at that status, it's like whatever, you know.
Well, plus he's on the level of being like, almost Anton LaVey level crazy. So, whatever. Fuck.
Right. Yeah, he's kind of crazy. He's got a lot of money. People like him for some
He's also
reason.
Actually, sorry, he's not Scottish. He's from Northampton. My apologies. So he's right up there.
Well, he's a northerner.
Yeah, he's 71, by the way. He's not long for this world.
Well, he's not as old, or he's not as old as I thought he was. When I saw the picture of him with that big beard and everything, I thought he was like in his 90s.
Well, think about this. Grant Morrison is 6 years younger than him, right? And Grant Morrison still looks like he's in his 50s.
Yeah. I got a thing to say to you since you brought him up. The question's favorite thing is that he found the 33rd flavor of Baskin Robbins.
Yes, maple walnut, as I suspected. 33 flavors.
Now, the question of all the superheroes, though, you got to admit, he's got a smoking hot-ass girlfriend.
Well, that's from the Justice League comics cartoon, right, with the Huntress.
Yeah, he's like dating the Huntress. But you know that Rorschach is a question because they're literally dressed identically except for the mask. Yeah. It's like,
yeah,
come on,
I love the question.
You didn't try real hard with this one.
I love the question on that Justice League Unlimited cartoon, not only because Jeffrey Combs does his voice, but because they just wrote him so well. Like, it's just so well written. So like when she calls him on the phone, and she's like, "What are you wearing?" And he's like, "Overcoat, fedora, tie." He's so fucking. Hey, Cody, what's up, man?
Yeah, we got GM Cody in the house. How you doing, GM Cody? I hope you're having a wonderful Wednesday. I think it is Wednesday.
It is Wednesday. That's your retirees and your lack of understanding days of the week.
This is the classic Ozymandias. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to paint all of the cloth on him purple so that he looks like from the comic book. Yeah. Silk Spectre will be yellow with black stripes. And then freaking Night Owl is mostly metal, except for like his hood and cape and cowl are brown. But I mean, the guy was wearing some kind of chainmail armor or something.
Night Owl?
Yep.
No.
I looked it up, bro. He's wearing.
Yeah, but it's under the cloth. It's not exposed like Captain America. His suit is reinforced.
Yeah, you might be right. Now that I'm looking at the miniature, there appears to be a lot of belts and stuff.
Just look up the images, and that'll give you exactly what you need as a painting guide.
Yeah, but I'm thinking about going by the comic. Which
look up the comic images.
To look up because I have the actual comics, all of them.
There you go.
And the trade paperback.
Nice.
Because I put the comics in sleeves with backers and put them in a box, and I'm like, I don't want eBay. They're not mine. They're actually Hungar's. Because, like I said, I don't read superhero comics, but he did talk me into reading 2 superhero comics in my life that I can think of.
Which were?
They were trade paperback though, and it was the Watchmen trade paperback and the Dark Knight Returns trade paperback.
Well, I can offer you
And I like
two
them
other.
both.
I can offer you two others that you should read then as well. Actually, three others, but these are the three. If I was going to recommend to you three to read, it would be The Golden Age, which is a DC one. It was 4 issues, but you can get it as a trade paperback. Also from DC, Kingdom Come. I think you would really like Kingdom Come. I think Kingdom Come would really resonate to you. And the art is beautiful. It's Alex Ross painting, so it's all beautiful. And then speaking of Alex Ross, there's the first series from the 90s called The Marvels, which is all about basically the Marvel Universe from the perspective of this photographer who basically started taking pictures of them back when they first appear in World War II. And it's beautiful and amazing. Those three I would highly recommend. And you can get them on half-price trades for sure for a decent price.
Okay. I'll have to try to remember that. I'll tell you what, the boys are rocking today. I don't know.
It's Florida,
but I can hear them.
Oh, we could hear them, yeah.
They're freaking rocking and rolling today. Yeah, Florida. Me and my wife was watching, like, there's this black dude, right? And all he does is like shorts. And every short starts out the same way. You see him walk into screen and he's like, what's happening here? And then it'll show some crazy ass shit. And he'll be like, well, I guess Florida going Florida. Thank God I got my flip phone. And he'll flip the phone outside. And like one of them was like a swimming pool with like a 12-foot alligator just kind of lounging in it.
Nice.
And the other one was a guy trying to scoop a baby alligator out of his pool with a flat shovel. That head shovel, and it was just like, all right, welcome to Florida. And like, there's tons of stuff like that where it's just, he just pops in and he's like, what's happening here? And it's some Florida shit going on. It's always.
What are those two, the twins? They always got a damn good show for you.
Oh, the Hodge twins?
Yeah, I get
them. I don't watch.
I get such a kick out of those two guys, man. They were watching a video of a fight happening between people of their side of the color spectrum, and they're trying to. There's two extra guests on. They were trying to explain to one of the twins the term is what's that term they use now when someone loses their mind? They crack up or something. The kids have a new term today for when someone loses their mind and goes crazy. And one of the guys goes, "Oh, you mean they chimp out?" And then he just starts going off about that. And I'm just watching this going, man.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'll tell you what, people on X get mad when you say that.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah, they don't like that.
Oh, I can imagine.
I guess the Hodge brothers don't give a shit, though.
Dude, you know how much money those guys have?
And it's crazy because they make like a 5-minute video of them grunting and we got a damn good show for you. And then they just make fun of some shit.
Yep.
For like 5 minutes. And then they're like, yep, time to go cash the checks,
Yeah, pretty much. And then let me give you away a Ford F-150 with a trailer and $10,000 in cash too,
Yeah, it's like, I'm not envious. Must be nice. I mean,
Must be.
You guys do your thing, you're out there doing it.
I mean, God bless him. Hey, Leth, are you alive?
Yeah, I'm alive. I'm just listening. I don't know what I can say about this stuff.
He has nothing to add, so he's adding nothing.
I respect that. You sure you're from America?
Yes, I'm from Kentucky.
Americans are not renowned for saying nothing when they have nothing to add. In fact, you're kind of renowned for then speaking more.
I can if you want. It just it'll be a lot of gibberish.
Well, I deal with Americans every day. I'm okay.
Like our friends in the North, when we have nothing to say, we generally comment on the weather.
Very true.
It's like, yeah, that's just kind of a thing. And, but otherwise, you're right. We do have a tendency to have opinions. about things, and sometimes the rest of the world doesn't like it because freedom. That was actually a video where this guy was talking to like a European, and the guy's like, "You know why?" And the guy's like, "Don't say it." And the American's like, "I'm going to say it." And they go back and forth, and the American's find like freedom, and the European guy's just like, you know what I mean? It was just a joke some guys made. Heroes, not heroes. I will spell it with a G, and then Daryl, it will be heroes. I have to throw a Y in there too, I think. But okay.
Here's the thing. Who was your favorite character on the Justice League cartoon?
Oh man. Easy, because I am the self-proclaimed basic bitch, Batman. I mean, on Justice League, yeah, it'd have to be Batman, and followed closely by Solomon Grundy.
Solomon Grundy wasn't a Justice Leaguer; he was a villain. Come on, man.
Well, he was on the show though.
Yeah, I didn't say hero.
Oh, I heard hero, but I'm sorry.
I said character.
Okay, well there we go.
And I always thought Solomon Grundy was super interesting because he's like dead, and he came back, and now you can't do anything with him. It's like even Superman, you know, they have to call Superman in to deal with that jerk, you know. And now I don't know if it's true or not, but the story I heard is he stole he robbed like an armored car, and somehow, you know, things went bad, and then
he's had a lot of origins over the years because he's a old character.
In the Justice League cartoon, he was some low-level gangster that was put in a magic swamp that turned him into what he is.
Yeah. And he even is mentioned in a song about how Superman never made any money saving the world from Solomon Grundy.
Which is funny because up until that point, there had never actually been a battle between Superman and Solomon Grundy.
Well, what exactly is it that Solomon Grundy even wants?
No one knows. That's the point.
Yeah, because he's dead.
I think it was to find out his original name.
That was one of the stories on that Justice League thing.
Yeah.
He's trying to figure out who he was.
They've done so many origins and so many stories for Grundy over the years. It's impossible. You know, you just go whatever.
There's a lot of those kinds of characters.
But
Daryl, play nice. Come on, Daryl.
It's like Mr. Freeze. Mr. Freeze's original story was he was just a bad guy with ice powers.
Yes, but the Batman animated series made it the best possible story. Heart of Ice is one of the best goddamn cartoons you'll ever watch. That episode blows me away every time.
I also really liked what they did with Clock King.
Well, yeah, it turns out he's still in diamonds because he needs the diamonds to power the device that keeps his wife alive.
Which was caused by a Wayne Tech executive who cut the funding to his project and then turned everything off. Yeah. And that first time you see him, his gun makes the coolest noise ever. And then they never use that noise again in the later episodes. But man, that first episode, god damn, that gun sounds good.
Yeah, and as much as I love everybody's favorite Austrian, and no, not that one left, but the other one, Schwarzenegger, that was, in my opinion, bad casting. It should have been Patrick Stewart.
So we used to when we were working on Battlefield Earth, I was working with the effects guys from LA, and they were making jokes about Batman and Robin. And one of the guys said, "Can you imagine what the first script reading was like?" They're all sitting around the table, and then Schwarzenegger just kicks in and goes, "All right, everybody, chill. I've got more notes for you. Okay, be cool, freeze. Don't get hot under the collar. Maybe you need to chill out. Okay, I'm done. Goodbye." And he walked out.
Okay, I'm done. Goodbye. Yeah, friggin' funny.
You know,
I mean, that movie. I don't know what they were thinking with that movie.
Well, Joel Schumacher thought he was doing camp, right? He thought he was doing a tribute to the 60s Batman. And, no one read the room on Batman at that exact moment in time. That, like, no one wants that.
Yeah, people
Which is
were
a
like,
shame, because I think at the time George Clooney was the best Bruce Wayne and Batman. Like, he could pull off both,
yeah, he had the look. But yeah. So anyway, I do got this guy, which I showed off earlier, but since you mentioned him, I'll show him again.
Oh, Juggernaut.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I hate to be a basic bitch, but I got to get back to work. So I will see you gentlemen later. But it was nice hanging out with you for a little bit, James. It's been a minute.
Yeah. Have fun at work. And
oh no, that's not happening. Stop cursing me with things I can't have. Bye, guys. Bye, Left.
Bye.
Oh boy. How about the episode with Booster Gold in it?
I don't think I remember that.
Oh, you don't remember that Justice League episode? Where they had Booster Gold go off to, basically do, like, crowd control, keeping civilians safe, while the major Justice League characters fought off a magic-based character?
Yeah, I don't think I saw all of those Justice League things. I think
that was a pretty good one.
I saw only a few of them. So
nobody wanted to believe him because they all thought that he's just out there for glory, and then he got into a big side story with a guy who had a black hole in his chest. But for some reason, that guy wasn't very bright either, because he just started walking off for no reason, putting more people in danger.
Well, the next time I have money to spend, I will go to the creator who creates all the superhero miniatures and does not sell STLs. So you got to buy them from him or else, right?
I might buy something.
And, you can find some of them for like $2 a piece.
Yeah, that's not bad.
But then some of them are like $5 or it just depends how complicated they are.
First, I gotta get that plastic piece for my magazine.
Oh, but yeah, I would like to get a hold of what's his name, the John Cena character.
John Cena character?
Yeah, the one John Cena plays.
I'm not sure.
The whole series.
Are you talking about Peacekeeper?
Yeah, I am talking about Peacekeeper.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Because I couldn't remember if that was a John Cena thing or if I was thinking of some other celebrity.
No, that's John Cena. He lost his freaking shit and decided that the only way to bring peace to the world was to basically kill everybody. See, that's change it. Superheroes now, Daryl. You can like jump up and down and get the sand out of your vagina. Stop yelling at me and being mean. I'm over here just being a nice guy. And I, out of nowhere, Daryl just shows up, starts being like, he had he's like that meme where the button and it says violence, and he's like,
click it as many times as possible.
He's like, geesh, man.
He's clicking as fast as I do whenever I played Mario Party with one of those button mini games.
Show up and choose violence. But anyway, yeah. So I have a lot of different characters to paint.
Come on.
A lot of characters. I've got the 6 main Watchmen and characters from literally like everything you can think of. The good news is a lot of these guys are going to be easy to paint because they just wear black or leather. Like this guy right here. I mean, I don't know if you recognize who that is.
Looks like a generic looking soldier character.
It does, but look at his arm.
I can't see it. It is very blurry.
Yes, but it's also silver.
Okay. Winter Soldier.
That is the Winter Soldier. And he's got a sniper rifle on his back.
Finally.
And he typically just wears black.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's typically just wearing black tactical gear. And of course, painting Dr. Manhattan's pretty easy.
Yeah, he's just blue.
He's just blue, you know.
Oh.
So painting some of these guys is going to be really easy. Like I've got Raven from Teen Titans. She'll be easy. Black.
Yeah.
She wears black.
Wait, she does? I always seen her in purple.
Well, it's a purple black, actually.
Okay.
It's like a dark purple. Now that I think about it.
Yeah, I mean,
And
her
I've got
sister,
Starfire, and
Blackfire, wore a lot of black.
Starfire is just an orange-skinned chick with red hair, right?
Yeah.
That flies around beating the shit out of everybody. Is his nemesis the Sunshine Patriot? I don't know who the Sunshine Patriot is, but
I don't know either.
But the John Cena guy, yeah, he used to be a hero. And then at some point in his existence, he decided that the most efficient way to bring peace to the world was just to kill anyone that acted up.
To make peace, he chose violence.
And so they decided to go ahead and lock his ass up in that special prison. And they only let him out for suicide missions.
Or to be more precise, the answer to peace is violence.
Right. And he has like a pet bald eagle that's always following him around.
Okay, I could deal with that. That's not bad.
It is from. I've never read any of the books. Totally ignorant about any comic book other than Conan, Savage Sword of Conan. And Poison Elves, which started out as I think 11-book self-print called I, Lucifer, but not spelled the same way as, the biblical Lucifer. And it's basically about a heroin-addicted elf that becomes an assassin in a fantasy world. Summer Soldier and Sunshine Patriot shriek from their... I don't know anything about that. But Bucky the Winter Soldier, I mean, he's cool. He's just... but if you're looking at his superpower, it's... he's incredibly skilled with firearms and melee combat, and he's got a metallic arm.
Yeah.
And that's it, really. I mean, if you
he's not a superhero. He's just a guy with a metal arm and
if you shine him in the face with a 12 gauge, he would die. I mean, he'd blow his head off. Of course, he'd probably throw his arm in the way, and the plot would kick in, and all of your pellets would hit his arm, and then he'd beat your ass because he's got that plot armor. But
I'd find a way to keep him from dying.
Right. Because, it's Bucky. Bucky can't die. Except he's the Winter Soldier, so he's actually a bad guy working for the Soviets that don't even exist anymore.
Well, he did. I think after a while he does just break away and do his own thing, but still not exactly a hero either.
Right. Yeah, still a little pissed off at Cap, for sure.
Yep. In the animated series for the Avengers, it was kind of Cap that kept him from dying, because whenever he used the Tesseract, he actually wished for Bucky to be back alive without even really knowing it.
Mm-hmm.
That series was pretty good, though.
But, if Bucky doesn't know it, then don't matter. You know what I mean?
Well, even Cap didn't even know it. Cap
so
thought that
Thomas Paine, who I'm familiar with Thomas Paine, he wrote a lot of stuff. And he wrote the story of the Summer Soldier and Sunshine Patriot. Okay. and you were forced to memorize that in the 10th grade. That was probably good teaching, actually. Something that students really don't get very much of in the modern day, actual education, about things that matter. We're too busy, Like at the Florida school my daughter went to, which I was a monumental pain in that school's ass nonstop. They had tried to do a thing where they would not teach any American history prior to the civil rights movement.
That's terrible.
And I showed up and was like, are you, I was raising hell. I mean, apparently, according to my daughter, the vice principal really liked me, but he did threaten to call the cops on me a couple times too. So, I mean, one time my daughter got into a fight and like slung this girl around by her hair, and they called me in, and I just got off work. So I didn't even take off my uniform. I just showed up. And I'm like, what's going on? And he's like, well, your daughter got in a fight. And I'm like, is anybody seriously hurt? And he's like, no. I'm like, so why'd you call me? So 2 kids in like the 10th grade got in a fight, 2 girls, and they pulled their hair, each other's hair, and screamed at each other. And that's it. That's all that happened. It's like, why are you calling me? Like, how is this my business? Leave me alone, asshole.
This doesn't seem like a big emergency.
Yeah, right? Well, it's not that hard to get on the base if, like, I'm sure you could talk your way onto the base. They've captured the shooter, which is good. But if they haven't told you anything about the shooter, you know the rule, right? If they come right out first off and they say the shooter was a white male, blah, 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 okay. But if they don't tell you anything about the shooter, then he's probably a Muslim or a black guy. Because that's just how American news works. You can set your freaking clock by it, It's kind of like that Cincinnati thing, which is going to be dealt with because the federal government's getting involved in that shit. But if it had been left up to Cincinnati, no one would have ever heard of it, And there are even people they're interviewing on the newspaper. Like they interviewed this 30-something-year-old dude's mom. And he's like, I'm sure that the people he hit started it because my boy's a good boy. And it's the typical, I hate to say it, but it's that typical, he didn't do nothing. He's a good boy. He's honor roll at the school he goes to. And of course, I'm sitting here thinking, this dude is 30-something. He's still going to school? And you're talking about him like he's 12. He's not 12. This is a 30-year-old man. And they attacked those guys specifically, that man and woman, because they were white. And there's no argument about that. That is a freaking hate crime that happened right there, right? And then the police chief of Cincinnati, which looks like every other police chief in a blue city, so a big fat lesbian, basically, comes out and starts trying to say that it's social media's reporting on the crime that's causing all this problem. And it's like, some guy showed video of the crime happening. How is that the problem? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The problem is you haven't arrested anyone because, you guys are so ideologically captured that you're just afraid to arrest people of certain ethnicities for doing some stupid ass shit. And it's like, and you can't have a society that way. I'm sorry, but it won't work, A society where one group is constantly allowed to do the worst sort of shit and the other group is constantly accused of basically all the things that the first group is doing, yeah, that's not going to work. Eventually, people are going to get mad, start buying guns. And I mean, then it just gets worse from there. I'm not trying to Tim pull it up and be like, claim every, it's a civil war. But I mean, I'll tell you what would deal with it is if, since we now know who all the attackers were and all, if some dude just showed up at my boy didn't do nothing mom's house and like took her off the census and everybody else in the house, I think that would send a message. Maybe a very harsh message, but a message would be sent. Now, I can't speak for anyone else, but I can tell you this. If somebody did something really horrendous to members of my family, their family would be open target to me immediately. So they could capture him, they can try him, they can put him in prison. It would not stop me from going after all of his kinfolk and relations, all of them, till they catch or kill me. You know what I'm saying? And then that guy can sit in prison and cry because, his nephew, Little Pookie, is no longer amongst those of us with souls because of the shit he did. And some people would say, well, that's not very Christian, and I would agree with those people 100%. I would agree. It may not be very Christian, but it's very Eastern Kentucky. I mean, you mess with my family, well, you've opened the door to your whole family now. This is how we're going to do it. To quote that one band from the 90s, this is how we do it. Yeah, man. Have that happen once or twice and see how quick a lot of criminals start really double thinking their bullshit. Like, I can do this crime. I can do this whatever I'm going to do. But I might be putting everyone I love in danger. It's not fair. I agree with that. It's not fair, but then again, like I said, I have passions that I have to fight, and one of them is rage and anger. So if I say things that seem kind of, a little like, what you talking about, Willis? Yeah, that's what that is. And all I can do is say, hey, man, I'm sorry. I mean, but as a Christian, I know it's not right. You know what I mean? I know that is not right. But still, well, it's not right unless a prophet tells you to do it. Then it's right. Right? So like when Nathaniel was told to wipe out every single Canaanite, man, woman, and child, then it's right. But otherwise, maybe not right. I'm a little worried here, Leth.
What?
Well, first off, I just went on a rant that I'm sure that wasn't really a rant, but I'm sure there's a lot of people that are going to be like, holy shit. But secondly, it seems like too many of the characters that I'm painting are black. And I don't mean ethnically, because only like a few of them are. But like, okay, like I've got Black Adam. He wears black. I've got the comedian, mostly black. Winter Soldier, black. Blade. You already know the question there, right? What color does Blade always wear? He looks like a freaking, like he's some kind of model for some kind of goth club, like Blade walked right out of a Hot Topic,
So you're saying that you need more black paint?
I don't need more black paint, but I'm just surprised at how many of these supposed hero, anti-hero, whatevers are just black. Like Silk Spectre, she's yellow, but with like a lot of black stripes. And Colossus, the version I looked up, he's wearing all black. He doesn't even have the X across the front.
Yeah,
It's
but
the version from the movies.
Isn't Colossus Russian?
He is, but he's also like the super like Boy Scout good guy of the X-Men.
Yeah.
So this is the outfit from the Deadpool movie where he's just wearing all black. And then, of course, Deadpool is red, right? Except
It's black.
his face is black, his shoulders are black, the side parts are black. So it's like
Red and black. I mean, he's got a mixture of those colors.
right. It's like, damn, man. Of course, I got Homelander, and he's like red, white, and blue.
I can tell you, most of these color schemes were probably chosen to make it easier to paint or color.
What's up, Mobius? Well, back in the old before times, right? And this might be one of the reasons I never collected comic books except for Savage Sword of Conan. Every comic was like printed with 3 colors.
Yeah.
Savage Sword of Conan, on the other hand, was black and white, line drawn, and instead of being comic book size, it was like a magazine size.
I mean, the funny part about like Dragon Ball, the reason why the creator made Super Saiyan was just so he didn't have to color in the hair all the time. He's just like, okay, this is getting annoying. He's never got blonde hair. I don't have to color it in anymore.
I've heard so many theories about that and about like what it says about the Japanese psyche. You've got the alien with the tail, who I guess eventually cuts the tail off or something. And he looks Asian, but when he activates his superpower to get super badass, he turns into a giant Aryan. And it's like, dear Japan, what are you trying to say here?
What story is this? Because Alien, if it's Dragon Ball, the Saiyans can transform to a giant monkey, not a...
No, Dragon Ball Z, remember, they transport into giant blonde-haired Aryans. His power is
when they transform,
9,000.
Their hair glows.
Their hair turns blonde, and their eyes actually turn blue.
No, their eyes turn green.
Oh, okay, that's totally different then.
But early Saiyans, if anything, in Z, would actually be changed into a giant monkey because they didn't have the Super Saiyan form yet.
Look, you can try to defend it all you want. I'm right. They start out looking like little Japanese dudes, and halfway through a fight, they turn into big German. I don't know what the hell they're doing, but they did it. We didn't do it. They did it. And then you got that poor one dude, the monk, with the bald head and the dots on his forehead, and he's just
Krillin,
constantly getting slapped around.
If he was a Saiyan, he'd be unstoppable.
I mean, that poor dude.
Story. With how many times
a lot, but Savage Sword was my favorite. Same here, Daryl. And the good thing is, I've got, you can't see them, obviously. They're back there. My wife bought them for me, but I've got all of the trade paperback Savage Swords, 1 to 22. And a lot of the stories in those old Savage Sword magazines were taken directly from R.E. Howard stories. So, And then, of course, every magazine had like a short story about Cole the Conqueror, Red Sonja, or some shit at the back. Solomon Kane, actually. There's quite a few Solomon Kane short stories in there. But, yeah, it looks like I touched on something very personal to you, huh?
Not really. I was just confused. I didn't understand it.
You're like, hold on now. You can't talk shit about my Saiyans.
I don't care. It's like, I was
Like,
confused because
those
you're
is my
saying
Saiyans, dog. What up, my Saiyan?
like I'm like, what? They changed it to Germans? I don't remember that.
But
Like
now
I
that you're
remember them
thinking
changing it.
about it, you do.
I remember the like early Saiyans before they got the Super Saiyan. They
Well,
changed
you're
it to
talking
giant
about when
monkeys.
Goku was a little kid and he's flying around on a cloud and shit.
I like that one better than Z
That's
anyway.
totally different than what I'm talking about.
But even in Z, they changed like they would change it to giant monkeys too.
Yeah, I'm
Vegeta
talking
did that.
about Goku. Uh, you know, he's grown up. He's kind of banging the one chick. They got a
Chi
kid. Krillin's still hanging
Chi.
out, being useless as shit.
You know, if he was a Saiyan, he'd actually be one of the most powerful characters in the story.
That's what you said, because I mean, it's not like he hasn't had the shit beat out of him enough.
Because every time a Saiyan gets nearly killed, they come back stronger, much stronger.
Yeah, except Krillin, because he's just some
He's
douchebag.
he's just a human, so they don't get the
And then they
abilities.
introduced Mr. Zeus or whatever, but in Japan it was Mr. Satan.
They call him a Hercule in America.
Yeah. Yeah, they just come up with some name.
Yep.
Yeah, but in Germany it was Satan. I had a friend who was a super like Dragon Ball Z fan, and he would just watch the hell out of it. And I would just be like, God, this sucks. It's like, and maybe I don't know. I mean, to
Again,
quote the guy from Cell, blame it on my ADD, but it was like, these dudes have been fighting for like 4 episodes now.
again, I think Dragon Ball was far more better paced. It wasn't about just a bunch of yelling. It was more of a straightforward martial arts like adventure like anime.
And then like Goku become best friends with like his arch enemy,
Yeah,
Vegeta.
yeah.
And then him and Vegeta had to fight the green guy. And they had to fight the giant black dude. They were fighting all kinds of dudes. But unfortunately, every fight they got into took like, 8 hours to work itself out because,
3 episodes would just be them sitting there yelling.
yeah, they'd be like yelling and carrying on. And, Cell would be talking shit, and then they'd be doing this. And then the next thing you know, they'd be blowing up like whole chunks of continents and shit. And you're just like, wow, okay. All right. So it's going to be like that then.
Again, there's far better anime out there, like Frieren,
Oh, I know.
or Samurai Champloo, or Cowboy
Dr.
Bebop.
Satan was an interesting body horror film. I've never seen it. The only film I've watched that had the term Satan in it recently was the Satanic Sadistic Brides of Dracula or some shit. And it was like a Hammer horror film with Christopher Lee in it. So pretty badass. Let me ask you a question, Leth, since you actually might know this or can find out for me.
Sure.
What color is the shirt and underoos of Juggernaut?
I think red.
Because he's wearing a t-shirt and he's wearing some underwear.
The
rest of him's flesh. See, you never know. It could be purple. Like bright purple.
Nope, it's all red. Just his whole outfit's pretty much just all red.
Huh. Well, that'll be easy to paint then.
Yeah.
I mean, just paint him all red. All right. I have some red right here. So.
Certain version of it has like half his shirt, or like his abs part of his shirt yellow.
Oh, well, maybe I'll do that just to add a little color,
Maybe. Yes. Other than that, it's like all red. From the X-Men cartoon, it's definitely just all red, just 2 different colors of red.
Right. Yeah, I remember somebody on YouTube did a Goku vs. Superman battle royal.
battle. That's Death Battle. They do the
and
Death Battles
Superman beat Goku's ass.
every time too. Yeah.
But I mean, come on, Goku's strong and he can do that Kame bullshit. But Superman can literally do everything.
Yeah.
As a
I
matter of
mean,
fact, we can't even know what he can do.
that's fair. I mean, the
Because
comics really made
even
him
according to the comics,
stupidly overpowered.
yeah, according to the comics, we don't even know the upper levels of his power. He don't even know the upper limits of his power. So that's why I was saying, I used to always argue that like Dr. Manhattan could beat Superman. But then I started thinking about it and I was like, I don't know. Because Dr. Manhattan would try to use his power to like, take away Superman's, the magnetism holding his atoms together and shit. Might not work on Superman. Superman might laugh about it, tell him it tickles and shit.
I guess it would just depend on how powerful they really want to make Superman. I think that's just it. Superman's as strong as the story needs to be.
In theory, Superman could go back in time and prevent the Doctor from being trapped in the machine that turns him eventually into Manhattan.
Yeah.
Because you have to remember, Superman can go back in time.
No one's stronger than the Hulk. That one would be an interesting fight, though.
No one's stronger than the Hulk. I don't know though, because it's a weird thing, right? It's like the Blob. When he plants his feet, he cannot be moved. So you run into a lot of, the Hulk is super, super strong, but the Blob can't be moved. And the Juggernaut, once he begins his charge, cannot be stopped. All you can do is get the hell out of the way. Plus, originally, the Juggernaut wasn't a mutant. He hated him. And then he found out later that, yeah, he was a mutant. But the thing that made him the original Juggernaut was some kind of magical amulet that turned him into the Juggernaut. Kind of like how both Shazams, or all three Shazams, or all 10 Shazams, however many Shazams they are, it's like they're created by basically God, you know? It's like, but yeah. And the thing you have to remember, George, is the reason Ozymandias won that fight is he used his super intelligence to alter his own genetics to make him human plus. Otherwise, the comedian would have beat his ass. But so I mean, which is more the reason to say super intelligence is actually better than super any other thing. Because if your super intelligence is high enough, you can literally just alter every other thing. Yeah, yeah. I wouldn't even know that unless they mentioned it in a comic, and I forgot about it. But yeah, that's what Ozymandias did. He altered his genetics to make him a super being. Of course, he couldn't ever be like a Doc Manhattan. But I mean, remember when Rorschach and Night Owl thought they'd jump him? And Ozymandias just whipped their asses, He's just like, whatever. The problem, okay, you know how there's the one scene in the show and in the comic where it says who watches the Watchmen? It was the comedian, right? When Nixon passed the law outlawing masks, the comedian went to work for the federal government, and his job was just to keep an eye on all the masks. He figured out what Ozymandias was doing. Therefore, Ozymandias had to kill him. And so that's what happened there. And, had Ozymandias been any normal human, the comedian would have beat his ass. But Ozymandias is not a normal human. He is super powered. I mean, like I said, both Night Owl and Rorschach jumping, get their asses beat. Dude catches a bullet, like somebody shoots at him and he catches the bullet. I mean, come on. It's not normal. That is not normal shit. And his whole goal was to, well, in the comic books, he ended up opening up some weird dimensional portal that allowed, like, basically a cosmic horror, like Cthulhu type octopi thing to come through and start ripping the shit out of everything. The movie where he made it out to be like Dr. Manhattan had turned on humanity, I think was a better take on the thing, because I mean, I love the story. I love the pirate story, which was a story within a story, the shipwreck guy and all that. But wasn't a super huge fan of the whole, interdimensional octopus monster ripping New York apart. That just didn't hit right, I like the fact that in the movie he did what he did. I thought that was cool. But some people will disagree, and they're fine to disagree, That is perfectly A-okay. Every now and then, something they change for a movie turns out to be better than the actual original thing.
Sometimes.
Oh, yeah, the comedian was giving Rorschach a major pass all the time. But the thing is, like, back when they were all together, the comedian was kind of the only one that was ever really nice to Rorschach. You know what I mean? And in a lot of ways, I guess you could argue Rorschach and the comedian are very similar kind of characters. They're both just out there doing their thing. But the one he was originally supposed to watch the most was Manhattan. And we all see how that went. Because, well, see, here's another thing to consider, right? Rorschach's freaking out when the comedian died, that was personal. That was not just business as usual for Rorschach. That was personal. Because Rorschach and the comedian shared a lot of opinions, let's say, about things. I mean, they were both basically hyper conservative, right wing, whatever, except Rorschach was crazy as shit. So, one thing about superhero models, though, for like games, is like you can find any like dude that kind of looks cool, and he would make a superhero, no problem. You know what I mean? But like in the comic book and the movie, Rorschach is out front of the when the comedian's being buried. Rorschach's there. Like, when he tracks down Moloch and breaks his fingers. Yeah, he was definitely on the lookout for what had happened to the comedian. He was definitely not having it. Night Owl, the one quote he says, "There's not a lot of laughs to be had right now. Haven't you heard the comedian is dead?" Now, most of you will probably not be too surprised to find out that my favorite character was the comedian. And yes, I know he did some shady stuff. He did. But overall, he was actually a good guy, you know. But he was a guy that recognized the way shit was going. You know what I mean? He kind of understood the way the world worked a lot better than some of the other guys. And, you know, I mean, I remember in one scene, Night Owl, was it Night Owl? Night Owl and Silk Spectre are talking about the comedian, and they're joking about how he's practically a Nazi. You know what I mean? Yeah, what's his name? Go see the clown, but doctor, I am Paglaccia or whatever his name was. You know, and then he's like, crowd does whatever. Lots of laughs. You know, Rorschach. But see, Rorschach was a damaged individual. In the movie, they don't talk about it, but Rorschach had made a dress using the material that Dr. Manhattan had invented. And it was supposed to be this woman's wedding dress. And she decided she didn't want it. And on her way home, she got stabbed to death by street thugs. And so Rorschach made his mask out of her dress. But what really drove him crazy was the guy that stole the little girl and basically fed her to his dogs and stuff. That's what drove Rorschach over the edge. You know, he was like, "Yep." That's when Rorschach stopped being what was his name? Something Kovacs. Yeah, he stopped being Kovacs and he become Rorschach. So yeah. Rorschach is a very interesting character, but I'm surprised that the people who like Rorschach because, like, Rorschach was always suspicious of Ozymandias because of Ozymandias's lifestyle. Rorschach always suspected Ozymandias was a homosexual, which he considered to be a sexual deviant. So he was always watching Ozymandias. You know, he never trusted him. That was kind of a thing, you know. And when all the other masks hung up their mask, Rorschach did not. Yeah, I think that's exactly correct. I think you are 100% correct. But yeah, so Rorschach kind of had not a good relationship with Ozymandias at all. Just because he considered Ozymandias to be a sexual deviant. Which, you know. I wonder if, like, Black Adam's cape is black too, or if it's another color. Because if it's black, then other than doing like a shade, a highlight and a shade, he's basically done painting his base. I mean, that's easy. You know?
I'm going to have to go.
Well, you have to go, sir.
See ya.
See you, bro. Well, no one is going to be super surprised that the Blade figure was really easy to paint. Since all I had to do is paint him all black, give him a dark, like African skin tone, black glasses, and black hair. Is the Hamas flag. Get out here. Shut up, George. I wouldn't paint that on him just because Hassan Piker says that's his favorite flag. And I despise Hassan Piker's existence. Everything about him. I'm definitely Team Nuxenower when it comes to Hassan. I would rather align myself with the Blue Jew than the millionaire champagne liberal. You know. Hamas. You know my saying, guys. From the river to the sea, Israel shall be free. Now, right now, somewhere, someone's probably screaming genocide. I don't care. And again, people might be like, well, that's not very Christian of you. And I don't know. I'd have to think if it is or not. You know, like, seems like at some point God ordered us to wipe out all the Canaanites, which is what the modern Palestinians are. And I'm wondering if that order's still in effect. You know what I mean? You know, should we still, according to the prophet Nathaniel? I mean, since Saul effed up and caused everything to go to shit back in the day, maybe it's on us to, you know, exterminate all the Canaanites and their evil God. And everything else about them, kill even their goats and shit. I mean, it is in the Bible, though. Asmongold is a funny dude. You know what's funny about Asmongold? His eyebrows. They never stop. I don't know what in the hell, if that's some kind of weird nervous tick or he's an eyebrow mutant of some sort. But yeah, his eyebrows are constantly going, you know, and it's just like, what is happening with this guy, you know? Asmongold is almost as like right-wing and fascistic as I am. Like his crowd will be yelling at him about some shit, and he's like, no, put him in the camp, get him out. Don't give a shit. You know what I mean? And I'm like, yeah, I agree with Asmongold, you know, about it. Got no time for this shit. Like, if you support a terrorist organization and you're in the United States, send your ass home to somewhere else. Maybe South Sudan. That'd be a good place to send people. South Sudan, Djibouti. And people will be like, what about American citizens? Yeah, them too. Them too. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but way back in the day, there was like this whole attack on the United States where they bombed a shit ton of U.S. senators and congressmen and all this kind of thing, like in the 20s or 30s, I think. And when they found the ringleader, she was an American citizen. They deported her ass to Germany. So, yes, under certain circumstances, there is precedent under certain circumstances to deport an American citizen. And one of those circumstances is they are an enemy of the state. So technically, all of these idiots that get on like Vosh and all this, like talking this shit, these bread tuber communists, if someone had the balls to enact that actual precedent, Vosh and all those other assholes would be getting sent to the EU somewhere. They'd be like gone. Oh, you like communism? You want to destroy the United States and replace it with a Soviet-style government? Gone. You know, like no questions asked. Get the fuck out of here. You know, excuse my language, but yeah, take yourself on. Nobody needs that shit. You know, we got enough bad shit going on already. Nobody needs all that. Another funny thing about Asmongold, yeah, they got hung. That couple. It was a Jewish couple that made friends with one of the Jewish guys that was actually working on the project. And they got invited around to a dinner party. And during the dinner party, they took their spy camera, which was a rolling camera, and they stole all the nuclear secrets and sent them to the Soviet Union. Because, and a lot of people are going to hate when I say this, and I say this as, again, somebody who was raised Jewish and is very proud of being a Mensch. The Soviet Union was never a Russian invention. The Soviet Union was absolutely a Jewish invention. Atheistic Jews, to be sure, but yes, it was an anti-Christian Jewish invention. And this is why it was so brutal against Orthodox Christians and stuff like that. Whereas Stalin, especially, though I would not argue he was Jewish, some people do. He's Georgian. His mom sent him to an Orthodox monastery and he got kicked out for being a communist because the Orthodox are not fans of communism. But Stalin, while he was bulldozing hundreds of year-old Orthodox churches, he was declaring Jewish synagogues as historically important so that they would not be destroyed. This is a thing Stalin did. And then it is a fact that both of Stalin's wives were Jewish ladies, and that his son, who died in a German prisoner of war camp, was named Jacob, which Jacob, that is a very common Jewish name. Very common. It's like Moishe. Very common. My pop's name is Moishe. See, I'm lucky because my name, James, is a Jewish name. Oh yeah, for the first half of the war, the Molotov-Ribbentrop whatever pact, where they basically dismembered Poland. And what's crazy is not, and I'm not pro-German, don't get me wrong. I'm certainly not, even though you're going to think I am when my new cosplay stuff gets here, because it's World War I German officer stuff. The Soviets committed atrocities in Poland that even the Germans were like, God, dog, what is going on over here? You know what I mean? Like, the German high command reported this shit as war crimes to the Red Cross and anyone else who would listen, because of how horribly the Germans treated the Poles. But I mean, there is one group that was even worse, and that is the Ukrainians. The Ukrainians, when the Germans liberated Ukraine, as some people would say, they were absolutely terrible to the Jewish population in Ukraine. I mean, we're talking some grapeage, some murderage. Half of the people that worked at the death camps were Ukrainians. I mean, terrible, terrible. Which is why some people get mad at me for my stance about the war. currently going on in Russia and Ukraine. And I'm all like, yeah, well, pound sand, because I know about Ukraine. I know the kind of crazy shit they did. I know why my ancestors had to flee, because they were kulaks and they would have been rounded up and starved to death. Intentionally, too. I love how communists try to argue that the Holodomor was an accident. It was not an accident. The NVD set up camps around the fields and shot anybody that went to the fields. And also, SA and grapage was rampant during that period. It basically, if you were a ethnic Russian or Jew living in that region during that time, the chances of some NKVD atheistic Jewish person sexually abusing you was pretty good. Yeah, probably going to happen, Yeah. And that was mostly your Western Ukrainians, because they're not actually Russians. They're closer related to Slavs and Lithuanians. So they've never really considered themselves Russians, while all of the people east in Ukraine have always considered themselves ethnic Russian. So what we're looking at right now in Ukraine is a war between ethnic Russians and ethnic Poles, really. When you really, I mean, maybe not 100%, but kind of mentally, that's where they are. The whole sad, really. That's what it is, sad. Yeah, but yeah, they did make their alliance, but it is also true that Stalin and Adolf Hitler hated each other. Like when they met, they both in their own writings talked about how much they hated each other. They absolutely despised each other, And on top of that, for some reason, I don't know why, but for some reason, the Germans considered the Slavs to be an inferior race. I don't know why, since, what we consider the modern day Slavs are at least a good part Scandinavian. But yeah, the Germans had gotten it into their mind that the Slavs were like under Untermensch or whatever. So, they were so convinced of the inferiority of the Slavs that when certain Russian generals defected to the German side, the Germans wouldn't allow them to fight. So while this whole war is going on in the East, right, and the Germans are just getting pounded by the Russians, the Soviets, right, there were literally hundreds of thousands of Russians being used in work camps and stuff that had volunteered to fight to depose Stalin. But the Germans just thought they were too inferior, so wouldn't let them help. I mean, talk about when you let your racism get a hold of you so much that you actually cut your nose off to spite your face, Because that's kind of what that is. It's like, if I had 100,000 men who were, veterans and were willing to fight, I would have them bitches on the front line ASAP. But that's me, that's just how I think about it. Yeah, Ukrainsky literally is Russian for borderlands. I mean, at no point has Ukraine ever been independent, really. It was always either part of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth or Poland or the Kievan Rus. Always. It has never been an independent country. At one point, it was like occupied by the Mongols, and it was occupied by the Ottomans. It was occupied, part of it, by the Teutonic Knights. Occupied by the Volga Bulgars for a bit. A big chunk of it was occupied by the Eastern Roman Empire, including Crimea. So, yeah, I mean, that particular portion of land has been occupied by literally everyone around it at one point or another, right? But the one thing you can count on is from Kiev, the Don River east, those are Russians. Yep. Our favorite Pechenegs, who ended up just getting absorbed into the Mongols, just like the Avars and a lot of the Cossacks. When the Mongols showed up, they just got absorbed right into that shit. They're like, hey, you like horses and recurve bows? Because we do too. And it's like, cool, let's go do some things. It's not going to be good things. Nobody's going to like it, but hey, we'll like it. And yeah. I have a whole army for Oathmark that's nothing but Pechenegs. Like I've got horse archers and heavy lancers, and like actually 90% of the army is horse archers. But, you know, I do got like a lancer unit just to charge in. But yeah, you can't forget also, but besides the Pechenegs, you've got the Avars, the Magyars, the cumin, not cumin like you put on your Mexican food, and then all the different kinds of Cossacks. As a matter of fact, there was so many different kinds of Cossacks that some Cossacks were called white Cossacks because they were actually European, Slavic peoples, and other Cossacks were not called white Cossacks because they were more Central Asian. But they were all considered to be Cossacks. So, yeah. A step culture inspired RPG, brother. I have it all ready for you. It's called Baptism of Fire with the Silk Road expansion. And there's even a class in the game which is called a Step Warrior, where you get to start the game with like a short recurve bow, some leather lamellar armor, a horse. So if everyone in the group of players that you're running decided, yeah, let's all be Pechenegs, I mean, you could do that, and you could make a whole game about your players raiding the Silk Road, Byzantium, wherever the hell you wanted to raid, because, I mean, you know, can't nobody tell you otherwise. I mean, have horse will travel, right? But yes, RPG Pundit already made that game. And no matter what anyone might say about RPG Pundit, I will defend the fact that that is a good game. That is a damn good game. And right. If I had not gotten to the point where I was kind of tired of running, you know, your stock standard D&D game, I would have probably ran that game. But, you know, I was just kind of over it, you know. So I'm running Doom. And it's a nice break. You know what I mean? The system's different. The setting's totally different. You know, there's just so much more happening. A lot more role-playing, too. And the thing with Dune is it literally has mechanics in it that kind of force the players to want to hang out with each other and help each other out and shit. You know, since they're all bound together kind of as a royal house, whether it's minor or less so. So, yeah, I've been having a lot of fun with that. I highly recommend it. But if you have the Silk Road book and the Baptism of Fire book, you are set to run Pechenegs all day long. You can run the Pechnigs when they're like raiding all over Kiev and Kiev and Rus and all that stuff. You can even have your Pechnigs rampage into Poland, and start messing with the Poles. I mean, you can literally, yeah, whatever, man. It's all good, right? That's a thing that I mean, the only thing you might have to look up, because I don't know if it's in the book, is you might need to look into their religion, which it is my understanding was very much an animist religion. So, like they believed there were spirits in like everything. So, like that. Like if you could wrap your head around their actual culture, then yeah, I think you just have to find some people that were as into that shit as you are. That's the thing. See, with the Dune game, I lucked out since like literally every male player at my table is a Dune fan. And the females who are not Dune fans, they're fans of all of the role play. Subadai and Conan was basically Tengri. Worship the four winds. I worship the four winds. Your God lives beneath mine. Hungar will tell you, and I think I agree with him, that Subadai in Conan the Barbarian was probably the best buddy, henchman, whatever, any main character ever had. And I would agree with that, really. I mean, that dude was ride or die. You know what I mean? And you got to respect it. You got to respect that kind of loyalty and, chutzpah. I mean, dude ran across a desert just to pull his homie off of a damn tree. I mean, that's pretty badass, right? Like when you literally run your ass across the desert to pull your bro off a tree. Yeah, I mean, mad respect, in my opinion, for that dude. And the fact that Conan decides to go to war with like a whole freaking cult. And Subadai is like, yeah, I'll be there. Don't worry about it. 3 against many. I mean, if we're counting Mako's character, No one will remember if we were good men or bad men. Right? But what matters is that few stood against many. And then he says something about, if you answer, I seldom pray. I haven't the tongue for it, but, if you're going to grant me something, grant me revenge. And if not, then to hell with you. I mean, so good. So good. I tell you what, those old Conan movies, they had the music straight. Yeah. Subadai, thief and archer of the House of Claret. Now, dinner for wolves. I love that. Yeah. Give me food so that I might fight when the wolves come. Or no, he says, I have not eaten in days. And Conan says, and who says you will? And he's like, give me food so I have strength for when the wolves come. Don't let me die of starvation, but in battle. Yeah. That is just like the best. I mean, absolutely the best. So I've got a miniature of Constantine, as in John Constantine. And I'm sitting here thinking, as in, I guess the comic book was called Hellraiser. And I'm sitting here thinking, do I want to paint my John Constantine miniature with the blonde hair and everything, like I've looked up and seen that he originally was? Or do I want to paint him with the black hair like Keanu Reeves, you know? It's like, which way do I want to go with my John Constantine, you know? What are we doing here? Right now, I'm using just a shade of gray that's barely above black to do a highlight on all these guys that are black as far as their clothes, because just that barely little bit of touch of gray in there, you know, it helps give it a little bit of three-dimensional look. And also, even more important, a lot of times when you do your little bit of a highlight, it might show you where certain belts and stuff are that you didn't see originally, so that you can go back and paint those belts and stuff. Got the Rebel and Empire starter packs, Millennium Falcon and Tantive 4 for X-Wing 2.0. Damn, the Tantive is big. Yeah, me too. As a 100% not Greek George, do you know that in 1820 something, I had a paternal great whatever grandparent whose name was Constantine Vaughan. I mean, so apparently he was from the British Isles or something. Well, I mean, the family was. He was from Kentucky. But his first name was Constantine. Yeah, I don't know. It's like Jose's out here buying all these starships and shit. I just pray that one day he does finally get to play them. Otherwise, he'll be like me. He'll have a bunch of games sitting on a counter that he never gets to play, and he'll just be like, bleh, you know? This is not fun. So here's hoping you get to play him, Jose. In news from me, brothers, since I haven't seen you in a while, I have collected a shit ton of superhero and Dune miniatures. And that's what I've been working on mostly throughout the day. I generally take 2 hours in the morning or afternoon to, you know, paint some of them up. Like right now, I'm just doing some gray highlights on, this is Colossus, the Russian X-Man, dun, 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 who apparently grew up as a farmer in the Soviet Union, but then escaped or something. You know, and his whole deal is he's super strong, and at will he can cause his skin to turn into steel or something like it. So yeah, super strong, big as shit, and also heavily armored. So I need to do his belt, I think, but yeah, there he is. Put him right here. And then the last guy to do a highlight on is going to be Black Adam. And just FYI, I also have actual Shazam too. So nice. Yeah, Yeah, he was a farmer somewhere and then somehow ended up on the X-Men. I don't know if like Xavier like kidnapped him from Soviet Union or how that shit went down, but yeah. Yeah, they must have had him out in the field looking for Colorado beetles because that was a thing the Soviets would have kids and people do, look for Colorado beetles because they lied and said that America was dropping Colorado beetles in the Soviet Union to destroy their crops, which of course is not true. But that's why sometimes you see Russians wearing the ribbon and it's brown and orange because that's the color of a Colorado beetle. And it become kind of a thing, you know. So I went a little heavy with the gray on this cape, but this gray has a tendency to darken down when it dries. So we'll let it do its thing. And if it doesn't darken down enough, then I'll hit it with some black wash and that'll be that. I need to hit the face anyway because the face ain't got any detail on it. It's just actually I wonder if his arms are bare. No, he's wearing gloves. Okay. So I know that I suck at this, but yeah, that's Black Adam, aka The Rock. That's right. Man, I'm getting a few of them done. I've got the new and the classic Captain America I can paint. I mean, here's the classic one where he's got like the heater shield. That's kind of cool. I also at some point need to prime up and paint the Sardaukar with las cannons or las cutters because that could become something important in the game actually. And I've got Homelander from The Boys. I should probably paint him up. I got a lot of stuff to paint up, guys. That's just what it is. Too many items, not enough time. But I just put a base coat on Starfire. And I'll probably get a lighter orange to do a highlight, and then I'll do her hair and her outfit, which is black, I believe. I mean, so many of them just wear black. It's like, wow, is that the only color? But then again, they were working with 3 colors in black back in the day. So, and then I need to do the wash, and that'll finish Lobo up if I do his wash. And then my Deadpool. Where's my Deadpool? He's right here. I need to put the black shoulders and the black on his sides and the black around his eyes so that I can try my best to get a white dot in there so that, you know, we can have the merc with the mouth. The one comic book hero who knows for a fact he's in a comic. Wouldn't that suck, huh? It's like you're a comic book hero and you know you're in a comic. You know for a fact you are a comic book character. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. Make sure that orange is nice and smooth. You know, too thin coats, guys. Too thin coats. Isn't that what the guy from Games Workshop always said? Too thin coats. And I need to look at my artwork to see what the original Ozymandias. It looks blue on your screen, but it's purple. And see what the original Ozymandias was dressed like. And who is this? I think this is the Homelander. Okay. Yeah, that's Homelander. And then I got Casey Jones from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I got the Flash and Gambit. And then I've got my Green Lantern characters. And I've got Iron Man. I got my Iron Man. Let me put this down. And then I don't know how good you guys will see this, but this is a Bene Gesserit sister. Like you can see how she's wearing like all the gold and the chains covering her face, and she's got the big, robe on and the hat and stuff. So yeah, that's a Bene Gesserit sister, which I could, if it were the right color, use for my wife's character. But I have another Bene Gesserit sister I've already painted up with the green and purple. That's her house color. And she's not a full sister. She's basically an adept. But she is high enough that she knows the voice. So, there is that. She does know the voice. And she does know the Bandu, whatever, combat forms. See, here's the new Captain America I have with the new round shield. So, pretty cool. Pretty cool. This guy was really easy, even though I think he needs a dry brush of a really dark gray just to bring him out. But Snake Eyes. See, even if the camera wasn't blurry because of my shaking, you wouldn't be able to see much on him anyway, because he's just flat black. And he's got a flat black Uzi. The only thing of color on him is his, ninja sword. But, and then, of course, something I want to show before I end this. I need to work on the bases a little bit, but these guys are a little sloppy, but I kind of dig them. So if you've seen the new Villeneuve Dune, come on, focus it. You know what I'll do? I'll do this. I'll teach this thing a thing or two. Okay. And I'm going to have to get this thing to tilt up some. Tilt up, you biatch. Okay. And then let's move him back a little bit so that he'll focus in. And then sometimes this helps where I block it and then it's like, why are you focusing on everything except, see, there he is. There he is. If you've seen the new Dune movie, you know who that is. Right? That is the Dune, that is the Sardaukar commander that Peter DeVries talks to. And then, And then here is a Villeneuve Sardaukar. Now, in the actual Dune guide that was written about Dune, Frank Herbert wrote about it. Sardaukar generally wore black, and a lot of times would decorate their uniforms with red. But the new Dune movie, the Villeneuve Dune movie, I kind of like the Sardaukar in white with like the red trim and stuff like that. The beginning is a delicate time. Yep. That's from the 1984 movie. In the beginning, Princess Erlon says, the beginning is a delicate time. Know ye then that it is the year 1091. And the universe is ruled by the Padishah Emperor Shaddam IV, my father. So, yeah, I'm getting ready to end this, but I thought I would just, see that she is taller because she's got, you see the on the bottom, she's got a washer glued to the bottom of the base. Yeah, that's 86. And let me tell you something, George. If you go to Big Mr. Tong, that's the name of his website, he has those. The Sardaukar wearing garbage bags full of green gas. Yeah, he has those STLs. You could probably actually order those off of Etsy for sure, because you can literally order just about anything off of Etsy. Like if it exists in the world anywhere, somebody on Etsy selling that shit, you can count on it. You know what I mean? So if you want a unit of Sardaukar in garbage bags, knock yourself out. But a lot of people don't know this, but David Lynch disowned that movie. Like after he made it, it was shown in the White House to Ronald Reagan, who said he thought it was cool. And originally Frank Herbert, who had co-wrote it, was like, yeah, this is cool, right? But as time went on, Frank Herbert started bitching about all the things that had been changed in the movie, like adding the sonic weapons and all that shit. So he started not liking it. And then David Lynch just completely swore it off. Like, it become a movie where he was like, yep, don't even credit me with that shit. Miss me with that 84 Dune shit. I'm not part of it. And what's weird is Herbert, who is a very interesting guy, if you've ever read his his biography, not autobiography, but biography, a very weird and interesting guy. He helped write the 84 Dune. So basically what I'm saying is every single thing that was in the 84 Dune, he knew about. He helped write. So why he decided he didn't like it after, a while, I don't know. He also considered suing George Lucas over Star Wars too, because he said the Star Wars story is basically just a straight up copy of Dune. A young man meets an older man, learns magic powers. He lives on a desert world, etc., etc. So before I end, I had to put a primer on my baby girl here. That's Rogue, the sweetie. Yeah, in the 90s, I actually liked the whole Swiss Guard look. The one thing that the Sci-Fi series did is they told whoever was in charge of costume design, they told those people just to go nuts. They're like, just do whatever you want. And you ended up with like chicks with giant weird hats and the Spacers Guild all wearing like purple and black velvet and acting really weird, and like they did the Harkonnen correctly in that one. And I knew before the new movie came out, no matter how good it was going to be, that they were going to screw the Harkonnen up, and they did. The Harkonnen were known for their red hair. They were not super pale, white, bald, whatevers. They were known for their pale hair. And Baron Harkonnen, especially, was known for his penchant for drugging young boys and having his way with them, because he was absolutely a degenerate. And the reason for a lot of the way the Dune characters behave is because shortly before writing Dune, Frank Herbert had been studying Carl Jung, which goes into archetype of personality and everything like that. So a lot of the characters in the Dune story are based on Carl Jung's archetypes. So yeah, if you've never heard that's a thing. But anyway, it's 2 hours, so I'm going to take off. You know what they say: leave them wanting more instead of overstaying your welcome. But peace and love to all of you out there. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. Thank you for hanging out and watching me paint up these Dune / superhero things. And that's it. I need to really bring out my fine brush and start painting Power Girl. I love Power Girl. I've never read a single comic book, but every picture of her,